Welcome Dreamers, I'm Elena, and today I'm going to be giving you a tour of our self-build home. Every homestead starts with a home, and so I figured it'd be a great time to give you a tour of our current progress on our house. We are still working on it. It's been about 2 years that we've been working on it. We broke ground in March of 2022, and we are quickly approaching March of 2024. Before we get started with the tour, I should mention that we do have a separate YouTube channel that documents the house build journey from the very beginning, and we have performed about 80% of the work ourselves. So if you're interested in those details, I'll be mentioning the name of the channel later on in this video. It's only fitting to start the tour on the exterior of the home. I'll first give you an overview of the project, and then we can talk about some of the details. To start, we are building a garage with an apartment above. You might be wondering, why aren't you building like a full-blown house? And our goal is to build our house debt-free. And so when we were planning our build in 2020, we initially thought we were going to build a 4-bed, 3-bath house, but then with the rising material prices after the pandemic, we realized we really could not afford a large house like that. So we changed our plan and basically split our project in two. So now we are building a garage with an apartment on top with plans to put an addition on it in the future. The overall footprint of the garage is 36 by 40 with a 1,200 square foot living space above. Looking at the garage from the front, you'll see we have 2 dormers on the front elevation. The reason why we did this is so that it would still look like a garage when it was attached to a future home. The plan is to attach it here on this left side, and we did do some specific design details to make sure that we could easily attach to that in the future. So here on the south facing wall is where we will have the addition eventually. A couple of things that we did to design for an addition in the future is we used vinyl siding on this side of the house. On the rest of the house, we used either PVC or James Hardie. And the reason why we used vinyl on this side is so that it would be easier to remove in the future when we go to do that addition. Additionally, you can see behind me that we have an entry door along this wall, and there is a window directly above it. The plan is for a mudroom to eventually be attached right here where this entry door is, and then where the window is, we actually framed that to be a door so that in the case that we decide to attach the building completely to this side in the future, we could make a hallway up there up top that continues into the new living space. You'll also notice that our stone veneer kind of ends right here where this wall starts. We ran it a little bit around the corner just so that it looked a little bit more elevated from a design perspective, but the plan is to eventually continue that stone once we figure out exactly how the addition will attach here. I'm now on the back side of the house, and you can see that we put a lot of thought into where our mechanicals are going to be. We made sure that there are no penetrations on this wall at all. So all of our mechanical penetrations are here on this back wall, and our utility room is placed directly next to where the addition would be so that it would make it really easy to run utilities from this room. We've performed about 80% of the work on this house build ourselves, so that is why it has taken us such a long time. It's actually extremely common in the self-build community to build your project in 2 phases. We kind of learned this after the fact of deciding to split ours in 2. Our neighbor had done something similar, and so we thought, oh wow, that's a really good idea. We should probably do that too, and that's kind of how we got into it. But as we continued on our journey even further, we realized that a lot of people in the self-build community do their project in 2 phases. Splitting the project into 2 phases has honestly been such a blessing. There are 2 main reasons why that's the case. One is because we have learned so much during this project, and we had quite the learning curve because neither of us had any formal construction experience before tackling this project. We had done some small renovations at Alex's mom's house before this, and he did a pretty big structural barn repair to her large barn. But other than that, we didn't really have any formal experience. We had never framed a wall before tackling this project, and now we have a lot of that experience. And it's been better to do it on a smaller scale than doing a really large house all at once. I think if we did that, it would have taken us about 5 years to build this house, which would have just been a really long time. Another benefit, which was more of an unintended benefit, is that we have learned how the design of a house will impact how the house is actually constructed and how easy it is to do the different trades and install things. This is going to help us for when we design the addition of the house, because now we can design with construction in mind. It's kind of funny because Alex and I are both engineers and spent a lot of our career in manufacturing. And a big thing with engineering is designing for manufacturing. So whenever we think about houses, we really should be designing them so that they are easy to construct. But that's not always the case, because there's a lot of fun things that you can do with houses, and it's not always the first thing on our minds. But now that we have gone through the process of actually doing a lot of the work ourselves, that is definitely something that is top of mind for us. We often get asked what software we use to design our house. The software is called Chief Architect, and Alex was the one responsible for doing all of the work. It took him over 600 hours just to design this little garage apartment. There was a large learning curve to learn the software and then implement everything he learned into the design. Also, not only that, but he also did things like the framing layout, foundation design. All of those tiny details required a ton of research in advance before he could actually put them into the design software. The overall look we're going for with the house is a mix of traditional and modern farmhouse. We love the look of the clean lines with modern farmhouse, similar to like what this light brings, but we also love traditional elements. Like this natural stone veneer is beautiful, and I'm so glad that we decided to go with something natural instead of manufactured. It just kind of brings the whole design together. Once the house is complete, we really want it to feel warm, cozy, and inviting, and I feel like that modern farmhouse and traditional farmhouse mixed together is going to be the perfect design for us. The future addition is going to be on the left side, like I already said. Now here on the right side, if we go over here, we have an additional garage door back here. And the reason being that we actually ended up putting a garage door back here is because this back area is going to be Alex's wood shop, and I'll show you that when we go inside. But we wanted to be able to access the wood shop really easily, and if we need to bring in like wood products or plywood or whatever, we can just open this garage door and easily bring it in there. Also, if he's working on anything big with the woodworking, he could always open up the garage door and extend his space out here. We plan to eventually have a walkway coming from this entry door around here to this garage door, but that's definitely a future project down the line. Moving around to the back of the house, you can see that we currently have French doors walking out to nothing. This is eventually going to be like a 16 by 12 deck, I believe. I can't remember if we made it 16 by 16 or 16 by 12. But that is one of our projects planned for the spring. And then we just have an entry door right here off the back as well. One thing I definitely want to mention on the back of this house that I highly recommend for anyone who is building new or maybe wants to retrofit this on their existing home are these Aqua hose bibs. These things are incredible. They are frost-free hose bibs. So you basically just twist out this nozzle and then it drains itself, and then you can close this and it's ready for the cold winter weather. Ours is connected to the RV which we are living in, and anytime the temperatures get below freezing, we disconnect it. But right now it's been in like the mid 30s, so we are safe. Another thing we did is this hose bib on the left is actually for hot water, and the hose bib on the right is cold water. Our plan is to take those two water sources and run them to a mixing valve to either use for a canning setup or an outdoor shower. So those are some fun plans we have in the works for the future. I'm honestly so excited about the hot water bib, because in the winter when we are dealing with frozen waters or things with the chickens or the animals, it's going to be so nice to have a hot water hookup right here that I can easily turn on and just get some fresh water. The exterior of our home looks beautiful, and we are so happy with how everything turned out. That was one of our biggest priorities for this summer. We spent a ton of time working on the exterior and finishing everything up. Now I will show you the interior. Forewarning, we are not finished. We don't even have drywall up yet, so this looks quite a bit different than the exterior. When you walk in the entry door, there are stairs leading up into the living space, and then the rest of the space is obviously just a garage. Our drywall was delivered this week, which is super exciting. We still have a lot of work before we're ready for it, but it's really exciting to start thinking about putting drywall in here and start painting everything. The front section of the garage is a 3-car garage where we will park cars, and then it's separated in half by this wall, and our utility room is back there. We have a half bath, and then on the other side of this wall is where Alex's wood shop will be. Being that we will have a smaller living space of 1,200 square feet, we are planning to do a lot with this space underneath the stairs. One thing we plan to put under the stairs is a standing freezer. We wired a dedicated circuit for that freezer, and then the rest of the understairs space is going to be for storage of our jackets, overalls, boots, all of those things are going to be stored under here, and then that way we don't have to worry about creating a space to store those things upstairs. So walking back here to this back half, you'll be able to see kind of what I was mentioning about that garage door. This space looks relatively small on the camera, but it's actually pretty spacious. And Alex plans to have workbenches on either side here. You can see that we wired our outlets at a height to accommodate that. He also put a dedicated circuit here for a welder. So this space is gonna eventually be built out into a nice wood shop area, but it does look a little bit small here on camera. This little doorway here is a half bath. We definitely wanted to have a half bath down here so that we could easily come in from outside and use the restroom. We thought we might put a shower down here, but we decided against it since we might do something outside. But we do have a really large basin sink here and then just a little toilet. We're planning to do some tiling on that back wall and kind of spruce this up so it looks nice and cute and pretty. Moving right along, this is the utility room. This is Alex's art masterpiece. Everything looks so clean and nicely put together. We always joke that our plumbing line looks like some type of modern art piece, but he's done such a good job of keeping everything super organized and clean, and you can just see the amount of thought and detail he put into this room. Throughout this entire project, we are always thinking about how we are going to use the space once it's finished. The freezer under the stairs is a great example. We needed to plan in advance to have a dedicated circuit run to that area, and if we didn't know how we were going to use that space in advance, we would have never run that circuit. So if you are in a position where you're either designing a home or even if you're just building infrastructure for your homestead, think about exactly how you're going to use the space and what you need to make that happen. So for example, if you are building a chicken coop and you want an automatic coop door and you want to run electricity to your coop, you probably want to place your coop at a certain distance from your house and maybe in a strategic location so that you can make that all happen. Let's head upstairs. Now we are in the upstairs living quarters, which is so exciting. This is a little bit messy because we've been working on insulation this past week, but you'll be able to still get an idea of the space and what it's gonna look like. So right when you walk in the door, to the left is the kitchen. We'll have cabinets running all along this wall here. Our kitchen sink will be centered underneath this window. And we'll have an island here, and then we're gonna have a little tiny coffee bar drink area right here. The kitchen is definitely one of the spaces that we are both most excited about. We have been living in an RV for close to 8 months now, and there is essentially zero counter space or anywhere to wash dishes, dry dishes, all of those things. And so having more space to prep food and do all of those things is going to be so incredibly nice. When we were designing this space, we prioritized the kitchen, and we also have a pantry, which I will show you. Those two things were extremely important to us, and I think any homesteader can kind of relate to that because you spend a lot of time preparing the food that you spend so much time growing and raising. So having a large space to do those things was really important to us. We initially thought we were going to do all white cabinets in the kitchen, but then we thought about it and we're thinking that it might go out of style sometime soon, and it's just a little bit boring for what we wanted. So we decided we are going to do a sage base cabinet with a white upper. I'll actually give you a sneak peek of what the cabinets are going to look like because they are here and the color is gorgeous. And so that's what we decided for the cabinet color. We are planning to use a champagne bronze hardware, which will match the faucet that we got for both the kitchen and the bathroom. We are also planning to use a marble picket backsplash, which I'm really excited about. It's something that's a little bit different and unique. We both love the look of marble, but have been advised to keep it out of the bathroom. So we figured keeping it in the kitchen might be a little bit better. When we were designing the layout of the cabinets in the kitchen, we actually came up here and physically measured everything and marked exactly what cabinets were going to be in each location. This helped us with the visualization and just figuring out if it was going to work exactly how we were envisioning it. So as I mentioned, this little nook is going to be a little coffee area, and then through this large doorway is the pantry. It's a little bit hard to see with this framing and there's no insulation there. It's hard to see like the outline of where each room is. But this door is framed really large because there's going to be a pocket door here. We haven't done that framing yet. We need to do that before drywall, but that was something that we changed later on in the project, and so we just haven't gotten around to fixing that. So inside the pantry, you can see where this framing is. We will have some cabinetry in here, and the idea is that we can keep some of our appliances in here and store canned goods, all those things inside here. We also put this little nook here. So this wall right here is an interior wall. It's not load bearing or anything. So Alex cut out this little cubby, and we're going to be putting plywood on this side here so that we can hang shelves from the outside. But then on the inside, when you're in the actual pantry, this is going to be like a little cubby where we can put some canned goods. I thought this would be perfect storage for some of our home canning goods. It's only going to be able to store 1 can deep, but I just thought it was a great way to use space that otherwise would be left unused. Being close up is really disorienting whenever I'm looking at the camera. So stepping back, you can see like this is the pantry opening. And then when you walk in here, you see that there's like this little attic door. So this is where the conditioned space ends. There's going to be a door here, and then anything in here is not going to be conditioned, and this is just so that we can access back here. But I was thinking this could be a really good space to store some things like potatoes and onions. Since it won't be conditioned, it's going to be cooler in there in the winter, and so we could probably have like some crates in there with some of our fall harvest things that we want to store for over the winter. Okay, coming back out to the main living area, pantry's over here, and then on the opposite side is where our dining table is going to be. So basically right where those 2 bags of rock wool are, that's kind of where the table will be, and then those doors will lead out to the back deck, and then we'll have a small sitting area over here to the right. Alex and I do not spend a ton of time watching TV or anything. We probably won't even get cable. We spend most of our time watching YouTube, if anything, and so on this wall, we plan to have a TV mounted, and then we also are going to do a nice built-in with a fireplace. The fireplace is going to be electric. I love the ambiance that a fireplace just gives off. Even if it is electric, I just think it feels warm and cozy, and I just can't wait to have this space where we can come up here after a hard day of work out on the homestead, sit up here, cozy up with a cup of hot chocolate or tea and read a book or watch a YouTube video. That just sounds like the ideal day for me. You wake up, work really hard all throughout the day, and then come up here, turn on the fireplace, and cuddle in. That's going to be really, really nice. You can tell the space isn't very big, but it is kind of perfect for what we need. So if we continue past our dining area and into the hallway, we have our primary bedroom here to the left, the bathroom across the hall, and then we have office over here and laundry. The bathroom is big enough to have a double vanity, a toilet, and then the shower is a 4x6. So this shower is pretty large, but that was one thing that we really wanted in our space. We also added a his and her shower head because I like water burning, boiling hot, and Alex does not like that. So we have two shower heads that are going to be in the space. The valves that we have actually have it so that you can like set it at a specific temperature, and there's a separate valve to turn it on and off. So you can kind of keep it at your ideal temperature and just turn it on and off, which will be really cool. As far as design goes in this space, we are going to keep the colors pretty neutral. The tile that we picked out kind of has like a beige tone to it. So we're doing a different tile on the back wall than we have for the side walls. We are planning to use marble on the floor. I know that that's typically advised against in a bathroom, but we figured since it's not actually in the shower and it's just on the floor, it would be a little bit better. But Alex really, really wanted marble floor on the bathroom floor, so that is our plan. Bathroom vanity is something Alex will be custom building. He built a custom bathroom vanity for his mom's house, and it turned out beautifully, and so he's going to be building the same one for this bathroom here. Across the hall is the primary bedroom. This is the only room upstairs that we're not finished insulating, so we still need to put some insulation up there. There's nothing super special about this room. It's pretty basic. Like I said, our priorities are the kitchen and the pantry. We do have a little bit of a walk-in closet in here, and we did do a similar thing with the little niches that we did in the pantry. Our plan for these niches is that we could use them to hang things like hats or belts or jewelry. Those things could easily be put in that small space that is made by just the stud wall. So Alex is going to be putting plywood on it like this, and then we'll be able to access the niche from inside the closet. One of the things I'm probably most excited for this house is to be able to go through all my stuff and figure out what I do and don't want. I really do not have a lot of clothes compared to a lot of females, and I plan to keep it that way, and I plan to actually have less once we move in here. But this closet should fit all of our stuff perfectly. The only challenge is shoes, but like I said, we are going to put some shoes downstairs because we have a lot of muddy shoes just that get really gross because we're doing stuff outside with them or working on projects with them. So that's the only big challenge for the closet, but I am excited to have a little bit of a bigger closet than what we had at Alex's mom's house. There we were dealing with really tiny closets because the house was built in the early 1900s, but this will allow us to have a little bit more room, and we'll be able to fit all of our clothes in one space. Across the hall from the primary bedroom is the office space. This is a little bit smaller than the primary bedroom, but there's still a decent amount of space. We sized this so that we could still fit a full-size bed coming down from this wall. We thought it might be fun to make like one of those Murphy beds and put it up here, and then we would have our desk space over here. The last and final space is this little nook here, which it's hard for me to get on camera with all this stuff here, but that is where our washer and dryer will be. It's basically just going to be a closet with a washer and dryer. We plan to put them on a pedestal to make it a little bit more ergonomic to access, but that's what will be in that little corner, and we'll put some doors there to make it look a little bit nicer. So there you have it. That's a short little tour of our entire home build. If you're interested in the building details, check out our other channel called Mason-Dixon Acres. This is where we document all of the building details. We typically make our videos based on the project that we are working on. So if you are interested in installing siding or stone veneer, we have several separate videos for those topics. So go check that out if you're interested in it. If not, I'm happy that you're here on Homestead Dreamers. I will not be covering building topics on this channel, but I'll probably give you some sneak peeks to things that are coming with the build, especially when it comes to design stuff, because that's specifically what I'm interested in and what I love to talk about. So you'll see a little bit of that here. Before I sign off, I promised you that I would show you a sneak peek of our cabinets, so I'm going to do that now. We purchased our cabinets from the RTA store. We ended up purchasing some that were fully assembled, and then we did some that are ready to assemble, RTA. We did this so that we could decide what we might want to use in the future edition. We really just aren't sure if we are going to like the ready to assemble. Pre-assembled wasn't that much more expensive, so maybe in the future we would just go all pre-assembled. But let me show you how beautiful this screen is. We have everything nicely taped up, so I'm gonna have to open one of these. Let's see. Everything is super nicely packaged, so I'm just gonna give you a real sneak peek because it's hard for me to kind of get in here. But look at that color. It's gonna look so good with champagne bronze hardware. I just cannot wait. And it's really interesting because when I look at the screen on the camera, it looks a little bit more blue than what it looks like in person. This looks a lot more green in person, but I guess it's just how the camera is portraying it. So I'm really excited for it. I think it's gonna look really good with champagne bronze hardware. Thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed the tour and seeing everything before we have drywall up. Things are gonna start moving along really quickly once drywall's up, and everything's gonna look a lot different. So I wanted to make sure that I gave a little tour before so that you can see the after and see how it all transforms. Thanks again for joining me, and I'll catch you on the next one.